everybody. Welcome back to Wrestling with the Future. We have an amazing guest tonight. I'm your host, Psychic Medium Angelo, joined as always by the guru who knew, the Encyclopedia Britannica of pro wrestling, Jeff the Ref Robinson. Jeff, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing tonight, Angelo?
I'm wonderful, Jeff. There's a very pretty lady joining us tonight. Have you noticed that?
Oh, well, I would love to introduce her. She is the one, the only, the perfect 10, the very lovely Miss Nickla Roberts herself, the one and only Baby Doll. How are you doing tonight?
Very well, thank you.
All right. It is a pleasure to have you coming on here tonight. And as I was saying before we took to the air, huge fan of yours from back in the Crockett days. You were probably part of my very early fandom. I started watching it in 1985. And to say that I know your career would probably, I mean, I watched you on the Old World Class when you were on Andre, the Lady Giant, coming in with Gino Hernandez.
Oh, yeah.
I cried the day that you turned on Dusty. I thought that my world had been ended, and you know, my little 9-year-old heart was about to just erupt into 1,000 pieces because my baby doll had just turned on all of us, and I couldn't believe it. And I mean, we're going to touch on a lot of these stories tonight, but I mean, that's just, let me put you over really quick if I can. You know what I mean? So,
like you need to put her over.
I mean, I just want to thank you so much for the memories. You know what I mean? That, you know, and I will say this: it says a lot about her that fans still remember this lady 40 years later.
Well, let's be honest about it. Nickla Roberts was a trailblazer and a trendsetter, and created a model for females in the business that we still see today. And, you know, when you're talking about, see, I always refer to Nickla as the original glamazon. You know, the big, beautiful woman.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, Nickla, you know, Jeff mentioned, you know, Andrea the Giant. And there's always been some speculation whether that was a tribute to Andre or a rib on him. So fill me in. What was the deal?
I never thought it was a rib. I thought it was kind of disrespectful in a way because, I mean, there was no one else but Andre. And then to kind of take a gimmick girl situation was just, I didn't like it. And if you notice, I very seldom called myself Andrea. I called myself Nickla as much as I could. And so yeah. Much rather, because Nickla's very unique, you know, and especially like being big and strong. And there wasn't another Nickla, but there was another Andre. So they could have gone a different way, I think, with that. But
yeah.
And it was a short little gig, and it was from like Labor Day to Christmas Day in '84. So that's what, September, October, November, like 3 months, 4 months, you know.
Sure.
And got over, and I learned a lot because I worked a lot with Jake and with Chris. Tina was rather standoffish, but I learned so much during that time. I worked with like the best heels ever. So, and it was just some of those long road trips to just sit back and listen, and especially with Jake. Yeah. You know, I was very fortunate. I was always seemed to be at the right place at the right time.
You know, timing is everything. You know, and your timing in this business couldn't have been more perfect. I want people to know that Nickla Roberts' career began at birth, really. I mean, when you have, you know, Lorraine Johnson as your mom and Nick Roberts as your father, you pretty much don't even have a choice. You know, I know you had aspirations to be a nurse and work in the medical profession. And I know that you actually did go to school for nursing.
Well, it was actually for EMT. I actually go up to Colorado and do ski patrol. And that part of the journey of that was that you're EMT to a paramedic, and then you actually got hired on at a ski resort as like your ski patrol and rescue people, and that was one of the career aspirations I had. But I heard about the deal with Gino and made the phone call and just gave them the right idea at the right time, and they liked it.
Nickla, it's kind of true that everybody, all the females, I should say, they all had a crush on Gino. They all wanted to get with him. Were you one of those like Gino groupies?
Oh, I wouldn't say group. I would not say group. Huge crush on him, but that was, I mean, he was a lot older than I was. And then he worked with my dad, and there was no way that someone like myself, you know what I'm saying? Gina was with girls like Farrah Fawcett, Nickla Roberts, even though she had like the schoolgirl crush, never had a chance. I knew I never had a chance.
Are you trying to tell me that you didn't compare to Farrah Fawcett?
I would beg to differ on that one, but still,
I was like young. I was like 22, 21, 22 maybe. And, you know, Farrah's got money and she's a Hollywood celebrity. And I was a promoter's daughter from Lubbock, Texas. And it was just, well,
fair enough.
I didn't have much to offer. So, but then she didn't have this 8-year-old girlfriend at the time.
Nickla, I would like to ask you to do me a big favor and lower your camera just a little bit. I want to see more of your face. There you go. Perfect.
I can't see our
There you go. That's beautiful. Go ahead, Jeff.
Okay. I was actually going to ask you, when you were with Gino, you said he was kind of standoffish, but you learned so much from him. Now, I heard you tell a tale that I would like to hear you tell on here, that you really were not even smartened up to the business until the first day you came into World Class.
Oh, yeah, that is actually the gospel too. Back in the day, they say that was gospel. There was nothing else that was more sacred in the business than kayfabe. Once you were smartened up, you start no one else up. Even if you wanted to, it was just you just didn't do it. It was a privilege to be a part of the kayfabe. And my parents, whenever they would be talking business, and my brother and I would come through the room, or they'd be talking to someone, they'd say kayfabe, and it was just the conversation would take a complete 180. And we always wondered who kayfabe was. We thought it was another little kid, and we wanted to go play with kayfabe. But it wasn't until my dressing room in it was in San Antonio, the Del Rio Coliseum, that it was Mike Von Erich, I think, Ken, maybe Gary Hart, just the Brothers and the Duffers, and myself, made me the finish, and I had to be like in 7 different spots, you know, where it was just critical I was there at the right place at the right time and did the right thing. And when they were leaving, they said, "Do you have it? Do you know what you need to do?" And I was like, "Yeah." I stand up tall and look up the back. Whenever they left, I had no idea. It was like, oh my God, that's how they did it. And that is how I got smart.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we heard that particularly around, you know, in the Dallas booking office, you know, we talked about on the show before, talked about Gary Hart. We talked about a lot about Fritz and his, you know, shortcomings and or genius, depending on how you look at it. But kayfabe, particularly down south, was really, really enforced. Was there ever any punishment for breaking kayfabe? Were you guys ever reprimanded?
I have no idea. That part of it, I was very fortunate to be like a girl because I was kind of off to myself. I don't know if there was any reprimand, but I'm sure that you were like pulled to the side by one of the older guys and told that's not how we do it.
Yeah.
But by the time you actually were smartened up, you knew. It was like mafia.
Yeah.
Because you just know that you didn't break the code, otherwise there was consequences. It was kind of unfair.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Now I was going to ask you. Now you had it was a short run that you had there in Texas. Did you have any interactions with the Von Erich brothers at all? I mean, that's any.
From the time whenever I was like 17, if I remember right, I was like picking him up at the airport or picking him up at the hotel, taking him to the gym. I might have been like a senior in high school, whenever we really started going to the gym series, because Terry, Terry actually showed me how to throw the discus better, and I broke my school record whenever I was a senior in high school for discus. And then we went to the gym all the time, and one of my favorite things to do is play racquetball. I love to play racquetball. Well, they try and play me because I practiced all the time. I was pretty good at it. And even to this day, Kevin Von Erich couldn't get over that I beat them all the time.
That's great.
So that was fun.
Now, when you were down there in world class, and maybe even for your dad, did you ever have any interactions with Ric Flair when he was touring as the NWA World Champ prior to Crockett?
Yeah, I picked him up. That was kind of one of the really cool perks of my dad promoting, was like the guys would fly in and someone would have to go to the airport with muffled. I would have already been in the ticket office like all day, so it was a nice break for me to get out and run to the airport and go get him and bring him back. And Dad knew that that's all I would do, was like go to the airport and come back and do better. So I got to pick up like Andre a couple of times, picked up Flair several times, Blackjack Mulligan, whoever was flying in, I got to go pick up. Now the Von Erichs were silly because if you didn't pick them up on time, if you were late, they would get to the bar, and then it would be like an hour or two before you could get out of the bar to the show.
Yeah.
So that's absolutely positively when you the people tried to be there and like lead into the cars and let the car.
Nickla, who taught you the most in your time in the Texas territories? Because there was a time, I'm guessing it was about a 2 or 3 year run in Texas, somewhere around there. But 4 years.
You only have about 5 months in world class.
Oh, 5 months. Okay, but you worked. Well, I don't know for sure, but you did work for your dad for a while?
Well, so my dad had a promotion from like 1962 to probably 1984, 85, something like that.
Right.
We ran every Wednesday night at Fair Park, and I grew up, like watching the promotion. I'd sell tickets. I'd sell programs. Treat people, because we had like assigned seats for ringside. General admission was like either like on a spot show, it was a 4th row back.
Right.
We had like really cool bleacher section up at Fair Park. But my brother and I, we did everything from the time that we could count and pick up chairs. We went to work. That was part of being a part.
Yeah. And that's how you made your dues. You paid your way through that way, working it. And was there one person who really kind of took to you and said, try something this way or try something perhaps this way?
The one person I learned the most from was probably Jake. Jake actually held the door open for me going into the TV studio. Friday morning, we were doing promos, and then we did the Sportatorium that night. And then Saturday was like San Antonio, like one of the big towns, and Monday was Fort Worth. So Friday morning, Jake actually opened up the door for the TV studio for me. And we went in and we did promos. But
right.
Just because he had been in the business long enough where he knew a lot, and then we just took together. We just clicked like he liked talking about different stuff and having someone like actually listen to him. And that was, I learned a lot from Jake during that time. I really
Wow.
did. And so, you know, Chris Adams, they were in there, and I listened a lot to Bronco Leavitt, and also just with the miners, they were my friends too. They helped me a lot. So a lot of the guys, it was a real cool situation.
Yeah. Well, now, Nickla, I know Jeff has a couple questions for you regarding wrestling at the Sportatorium. Go ahead, Jeff.
Well, actually, yeah. How hot would that crowd get compared to, we'll just say, maybe the Spartanburg Arena and for Crockett? I mean, how hot was that Sportatorium as far as the crowd?
Well, it there was no other place like the Sportatorium. I mean, the building was just, it was perfect for wrestling. It was kind of like one of those buildings that you pull up to it.
Can't hear. God, no, I can't hear nothing.
Yeah.
Can you hear her?
No, I can't hear.
Nickla, we can't hear you, dear.
Can't hear it all.
Can you hear? We can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Yeah. Can't hear.
We're experiencing technical difficulties.
Yeah.
May have to have her call in.
Well, hold on. Let's give Nickla a chance to.
Oh.
There you go. There you go.
The thing flashed up and it said microphone muted, and I hit it, and then it did this, so it's working.
Okay. I mean, now we can hear you crystal clear. I love the glasses, by the way.
I know, right? I can't.
Yeah, we were starting to panic. Go ahead, Jeff.
It's set up. Sorry.
Well, I'll get back because we missed it totally. I hate to have you repeat yourself, but I missed it totally what you had said about the Sportatorium there, and just the atmosphere of it.
Well, I heard that Nicholas said, and I'll just recap for everybody watching the show. It was a perfect building for wrestling. No other place like it, and we've heard that. We heard that the Sportatorium was actually built for wrestling.
I can believe that. I don't know for sure, but that makes sense. It was like Fair Park was like that where my dad's show was, because it had, like the cement bleachers. It had like 3 sides of bleachers. You had the whole open back area where, like, if the guys wanted to just get up and brawl, you could like brawl all the way to the back.
Yeah.
It had separate heel and babyface dressing rooms. It was just perfect. So between Fair Park and the Sportatorium, it was perfect.
There was it's been speculated, and you would probably know better than anybody since you were there. We were told, and I don't know how true it is, so I'm going to let you answer this. We were told that the ring at the Sportatorium was actually cemented in place. Is that true?
I'm not sure. That makes sense. Either cemented in or bolted to the floor.
Wow.
Yeah, we heard that. Was that true, Jeff?
I've heard that. I've heard that numerous times that it was cemented in there, that they could not move. Like if they wanted to do a concert there, they just took the ropes off, and then they just had the people go there and perform in the ring.
That's what we were told. Funny.
Makes sense.
I mean, can you imagine Elvis the Pelvis up there shaking his hips in 1974 in a wrestling ring? That's kind of funny. But
that is.
Now and last question there about your time. I mean, they're world class, but how bad was the heat for you as a female heel? How bad was that heat? Did anybody ever try to like stab you, or did they throw things on you? I mean, how bad did it get?
It wasn't so bad in like Dallas because it was a different heat, because when you look at like the Von Erichs and Freebirds, how many times the Freebirds just got beat every single night, but they still had the heat. Texas heat was different because they actually believed it. And because I was like a big badass woman, they were kind of halfway afraid to begin with. So I kind of had my gimmick already built in.
Well,
you know, on the subject of heat, let's talk about Fritz Von Erich and Gary Hart. We were told, and again, secondhand, not having been there at all, that as brilliant as Gary Hart was, and as stubborn as Fritz Von Erich could be, they were immensely successful together. Right. But we also heard that they often butted heads. There was a lot of friction there. What was the dynamic between Fritz and Gary?
To tell you the truth, I've never heard that they had. See, you have to understand, I was really sheltered during that time. I mean, if I wasn't even smart until my very first match, then I certainly wouldn't have known about Gary. I mean, everybody liked Gary, so I can't see anybody say anything bad about him to begin with. And Fritz had the reputation that nobody liked him, so if you have someone that nobody likes with somebody that everybody likes, there's probably going to be some friction there. But Gary was a delight to be around. He ate at my house a couple of times. He was a really cool guy.
I got to put over your poster really quick.
The Von Erich boys, were they spoiled?
I really wouldn't put it that way. Their dad worked really hard for the money that they did have, because they literally came from nothing, and then had the nice ranch and everything. So Fritz didn't give them anything. They earned every bit of whatever they had. Believe me, they earned it. I mean, Fritz, in one way or another, wasn't going to give those boys anything. Now, he made it to where the boys succeeded. Above all else, there was no one going to be better than his boys. Yeah. And back then, I guess you really have to know the situation.
Right.
And how much Fritz just absolutely adored his family. He wanted nothing but the best from his family, and nothing was going to stand in the way of that. So not knowing the repercussions of the medications and everything that they were delving in, Fritz just wanted the absolute best. And
did that end up hurting him?
Went too far.
Did that end up hurting him in the end?
Oh yeah, because he lost everything. Only one of the boys is still alive. But when you love something so much, and you can give them so much, and have so much discipline, and everything was going to be right and true and perfect. When you look at those boys, they were gods at the time. I mean, everybody loved them. And have that success at that much time, like the world class, like their operation was actually worldwide before anybody else went worldwide.
And we, Jeff actually has a little insight into this, but we heard they were huge in Israel for some odd reason.
They were huge in Israel because
Kevin just went back not too long ago. They were huge. It was amazing. Yes.
They were huge in Israel because of the CBN, the Christian Broadcast Network.
Oh, okay.
And as crazy as that was, CBN was the first to put world class on a cable national level that made them hit worldwide and get out there worldwide and have that success.
Yeah.
So
Nick, I have a question. Hold on, Jeff. I have a question real quick.
If I remember right, with the CBN, it was one of those deals because Fritz was really Christian orientated in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And he just, one of those times that made the phone call of like, well, why not? Why not reach out to them? Because I'm already supporting, it just hand in hand in one of those phone calls that, why not? And it worked.
It did.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Well, I was going to just say I've already shared the story once before, but I actually did have the chance because my mom worked.
Oh yeah, you have a personal story. Listen to this one, Nickla.
And my mom worked at CBN at the time. I was only in the 6th grade, so I was only 12 years old, and I was able to sit in on a private filming of them on the 700 Club, and I about lost my shit when they come out, and I'm told, okay, you guys sit there and be still, and I'm the only one there besides production crew, and I'm going, oh my God, it's a fun. I mean, I'm like, but in the meantime, I'm like, it was amazing, it was awesome, and I got to meet Fritz, Doris, Kevin, Carrie, and Chris. So,
wow,
they were all still alive, and you're right. The Christianity religion was part of who they were. So that is, and then, anyway, go ahead. What were you had a question at the end. So,
yeah. So Nickla, I was going to ask you, what led to you, leaving and teaming up with Tully Blanchard? How did the Tully connection come?
Well, it worked out with, I had actually come in because at the time Sunshine had some addiction problems, and they had sent her to rehab. So while she was at rehab, they brought in Stella Mae French, her truck driving aunt. Well, they couldn't have Gino hitting a girl. Not that was still taboo at the time, that the girls worked against girls and the guys worked against guys. There was a definite line. And so they brought me in to work against Stella so that Gino didn't have to mess with her anymore. He paid someone to come in and beat her up. Was basically my deal.
Right.
So whenever whenever Sunshine came back at the Cotton Bowl and she flew in on the helicopter and she lost a little bit of weight, and you could tell that rehab had done a world of good for her. And we did like maybe a month and a half after that. And that was it. I mean, they were going to go with Sunshine and go in a different direction. They didn't need Stella and myself anymore. So we had the Christmas Day and the day after in Miami and Tampa. And that was the last 2 days that I had. And so I happened to know Michael Hayes from working World Class. So he was booking there in Florida. And whenever I landed, I got like this ridiculous bottle of Jack Daniels and went to go talk to him, and was kind of gave him the spiel like, hey, how about me? Do you need a girl? I've been working for a while. I work really well as a heel, and maybe you could use me. Well, he was getting ready to close down Florida at the time, but he said Dusty was getting, and he said, quote unquote, and I'll never forget it, he's getting ready to blow the Mid-Atlantic up. He said, that's where you want to go. He said, you know him? And I knew Dusty from working with my dad. So it was like, no, I'll go. So whenever I went to go talk to Dusty, Tully was standing right there. And I gave him the deal of, like this was my last 2 shots. Were they looking for someone? And unbeknownst to me, they actually were looking for a girl. And,
okay.
And Tully said that they were actually looking for Sunshine, but they couldn't find her because thank God she was at rehab and nobody knew where she was. But I didn't know it at the time, so I was like, well, how about me? And so I was going to have my match with Stella. And when I walked out to the ring, I remember seeing like Dusty was standing outside of his dressing room door, and Tully was standing outside of his dressing room door. So whenever I had my match and I got done, I turned around and I was thinking, like, if they're still there, I've got a spot. If they're still there, in my mind, I've kept them watching me long enough that maybe I had the shot. But if they weren't standing there, then I didn't have it. So it was just like turned around real slow, and they were both standing there. So I was like, all right. I knew in my heart I had it because they'd been out there 8-10 minutes long enough for me to, So they were wanting me like the end of February, like build it up because they just done the contest, like build it up. I was like, yeah, end of February would be fine. Then it got to be the 1st of February. Then it was like, when can you be here? And it turned out to be like mid-January, so it was really cool.
Well, go ahead, Jeff.
No, that took you up to what 1985 is when you came in for Crockett with Tully.
Right, January of '85.
Yeah, because they were running. The gimmick that they were running at the time was, Tully was looking for his perfect 10. And then what they did was, and I'll never forget this one either, is when they introduced Baby Doll, it was to the Motley Crue's girls, and she was leather clad and on a
no. It was Looks That Kill.
Oh, that's it. Looks Like You're right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Looks Like Kill. But I still remember the video, private jet limo, you getting in there, amazing. And little did I know though that I was gonna hate you like I did and want to, call you bad names. I think I uttered the word bitch at my TV and maybe got a couple good times. But hey, it just means that you were doing your job, for
exactly.
Right.
So I mean, I'll never forget my grandfather. He definitely called you a couple of disparaging names there when you were running with Tully, but
to this lovely lady, are you kidding me? Please.
I mean, I couldn't believe that my grandpa had such language that he could utter coming out of his mouth at the time. But now I'll say this: you were with Tully, and you got some tremendous heat. Now I have to ask you, because I'm from up here, do you have any good memories of the Norfolk Scope?
Oh, wow. We did a lot of pictures. Any of the backgrounds that were white, any of the publicity pictures, those were ours. Scope was good. It was if you got like Norfolk on Thursday and then Richmond on Friday, it was good because that meant that like Friday morning you could sleep in because you're only like 80 miles.
Yep. Yeah, we would normally get you guys there on Friday or Saturday when they really picked up hot in '86. Is that because they were a 10,000 seat arena. So, and Magnum being from the area, all they had to do was plug him into any, whether it was main or semi-main, and they were guaranteed to sell that place out. So,
oh yeah, Richmond was good. Norfolk was good. I remember a couple of times we had NASCAR in at the same time. I was lucky enough to be one of those that I always made reservations, and some of the guys were like, "Oh, they'll hold us rooms. Well, the couple of times that NASCAR was there, they didn't have room, so it was. I got a room.
What was the road schedule like back in the day?
Oh my gosh! The first year that I worked for Tully or with Tully, we had 15 days off the whole year.
Oh my God!
Like no weekends, no holidays. That was every single day. I had like a white notebook that I had like all my payouts and who we worked with. And one year it was about 8 years after I'd been out of the business. I was like going through stuff, and I counted up the days because I was like every day was something. Yeah, 15 days out of the whole year.
And this would be around what, 85, 86?
85.
Somewhere around there?
The first year that I worked with Tully was 85. 86 was Dusty and Flair, and then we went to Kansas City in 86.
Wow.
I got a quick question for you. Starrcade 85 is one event that everybody does remember you for because of the guy quit with Tully and Magnum.
Right.
Billy Jack Haynes has recently come out and had a couple of comments about you.
I know where he's going with this. Go ahead, Jeff.
Do you mind me asking? If you don't,
no, you're fine.
Okay.
Go ahead. Go for it.
He said you basically were like, oh my goodness, I got like a $10,000 payoff for Starrcade 85, and we're like bragging about your pay, and like, personally, I didn't buy it. I was thinking bullshit because the man comes across to have batshit crazy anyway. So, what do you have to say about that, baby doll? I mean, just go ahead and say it.
Well, number one, I knew enough that, and for me, I made at least half of what Tully did, and sometimes a little bit less.
Okay.
So, I'm not saying I didn't make a 10 grand payoff, but I really don't think I did. You know what I'm saying? Because I was on the card. Like when you look at all the payoffs, you had Flair on there, you had Dusty on there. They were meant to main event above us.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of matches above us. out of the whole card, there was only like with Flair and Dusty, and probably the I Quit match with Tully and myself are like the two main matches out of that we all remember. Now, who did Billy Jack Haynes work with? He was in the 6-man, so you've got 6 guys getting a payoff. There was only 3 people in our match.
True.
Right.
So that there's less. You also look at the stipulation of like everything that had built up to that match, because Magnum and Tully had been working on the angle since like after the bash, which was in July. So the first part of August, I think that they started putting together the Starcade thing with the angle between Magnum and Tully. So because
Right.
the policeman gimmick where you're like, I had handcuffed Magnum, and then Magnum came back and handcuffed me. We'd done the roll of quarters, where I came down in the policeman outfit. We did the deal where Magnum kissed me, and we did the big slap, and then they were beating the crap out of each other. So we had August, September, October, 3.5 months. Where we literally beat the crap. There was a lot put into that. So yeah, we probably did get a little bit more. And then
Right.
I don't remember telling anybody. I mean, Tully knew what I made.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken, I'm not even sure that Billy Jack was there on that same show.
No, he was in the 6-man, Jeff.
Yeah, he was in a 6-man with Wahoo against the Russians, I think.
No, it was against Ole and it wasn't hard. It was Ole and it didn't make it made no sense. He was the tag match. I was thinking that you guys may have been in 2 different locations. I was thinking they were down in Atlanta and you guys were in Carolina, because I know that was when they did the split Starcade.
See, I don't know if they would have lumped it together and did a payoff, or if like Atlanta got their own payoff and then Greensboro.
Right.
But yeah, they were protected as one. And I know that Flair took a percentage, plus a Booker took a percentage. So
Right.
Bottom line is,
I knew one thing, being a girl, that I kept my mouth shut. I would have never.
That's what I was going to say. Is bottom line is that you would never have discussed your payoff anyway with any of the boys other than Tully.
Right.
So bullshit on what Billy Jack has claimed.
Yeah. Well, Nickla, I have a question for you. In that same line, we had in fact this week. In fact, we had 2 real legends in the business. We had your friend Boogie was with us on Tuesday,
He said hi, by the way.
and we also had Cowboy Scott Casey with us. And I asked him about the pay structure, and both of them were paid on the house. Now, with Crockett, because it was a larger corporation than working the individual territories, even though it was considered the Mid-Atlantic territory, did Crockett pay a percentage of the house and the salary, or how did the pay structure work?
Hear me?
Barely.
So Crockett would, I don't know if you took like the crowd count or the percentage or where you were on the card. A lot of the guys had their own books, and they would know, okay, that we did 2,000 people or 8,000 people, and I was third on the card, and they would know that. I knew that I was making crazy amounts of money. I was having a really good time doing this. It wasn't like a lot of the guys had it as a career. That's what they were going to do. I mean, I was a girl. I was lucky to be on the booking sheet every week, So my situation was a lot more tentative. I knew that at the time I was gone. Well, some of the guys, that was all they were going to do all their life. I had other things I wanted to do.
Right. Go ahead, Jeff.
I got a question for you now, Nickla. You guys, after you were, or when you were with Tully, it led to one of my favorite angles that I mean, I still remembered from the time of being a kid to when YouTube was invented. I was looking for it, and then I finally, you know, then tape trading and all that good stuff, I was able to get my hands on it. But it was the night that Kelly smacked you, and Dusty comes in and runs in and does a save. What was that? Dusty's genius of an angle? I mean, or who came up with that, first of all? And how, I mean, what was it like for you? I mean, to know that all of a sudden now you're going to be with the top baby face in the company.
It was a lot to take in. And like leaving Holly and I were such a good fit together. And then to leave that, and then to know that it would be a split, done, not going back. If you did have to, they were actually going to, from what I remember, they were going to put me with Buddy Landell. But I thought that he was going to work the angle with Flair. And he kind of went on some sort of binge and was gone for like 3 weeks, and nobody knew where he was. So that kind of, Dusty had to do something, because Kelly and I were so hot, especially after I quit match. What else was there to do with us? Turn one of us baby things. And it made more sense to go with me, and it just worked.
Oh, yeah, it did. I mean, because Dusty goes in, he does a tackle, and then I got to do something for you. He gave an infamous.
I was like Kay Ray. He wanted that King Kong, Kay Ray type look.
Yeah. And then Dusty cut an infamous promo for on TBS. He goes, "Listen here, Mama Rose, she called me up the other day, and she said, listen here, you've been going around and you've been calling that baby doll a Jezebel." And I said, "Mama Rose, you got to understand, there's a good Jezebel and a bad Jezebel. And let me tell you, that's a good Jezebel right there."
Oh, you're killing me, yeah.
Did I do good?
Yeah.
I think you popped Baby Doll. Nickla, I got a question for you. You mentioned earlier that the women were with the women, the men were with the men. What do you make of this whole Tessa Blanchard, Sami Callihan thing?
They
Can't hear you.
Okay. Number one, Tessa Blanchard is not a racist. I've known her since she was a little girl. I know that the school that she trained with George South in Charlotte, were the toughest schools ever. Magnum and Tully both chose George out of all the wrestling schools because they know that George wouldn't sugarcoat anything, that George would teach her just like she was a man. George was not going to be easy on her. In fact, George was probably tougher on her than anyone else. One of the people that Tessa trained with while she was with George was Cedric Alexander, one of the NXT stars, one of the WWE Law stars. He and Tessa have been friends from the get-go. They trained together. Cedric's wife and Tessa, very good friends. You also have Tessa dating Ricochet for years.
Mm-hmm.
Now engaged to Diego. I've never seen Tessa act inappropriately. Tessa pushes herself above and beyond any of the other girls. Yes, there's a lot of jealousy there. Yes, there's a lot of catcalling and, oh, well, she just thinks that she's too good for anybody. You know what? No one has put the time in the gym that Tessa has. Look at that body that girl has got. She's one of the girls that actually goes out there to wrestle and not be interested in how much of my ring gear for myself after the show.
Right.
Tessa is a professional, and because she holds herself up to a much higher standard than some of those other girls, then the other girls are jealous, and they're going to say stuff that is very inappropriate. And yes, Tessa may be a bitch, and yes, Tessa may be short with some of these girls, and yes, Tessa will rough up some of the girls because they deserve it. Because just like when my mother was wrestling, everybody's heard the story of the douchebag. You're such a douchebag, the whole thing. You know how that started? Stu Hart back in the 50s hated girl wrestling. A lot of the girl wrestlers didn't know how to work. They were friends and girlfriends of the promoter, and they didn't know how to take bumps. They weren't like girl workers. Penny Banner and my mother were two of the only girls that Stu Hart let work out in the dungeon because they worked like the guys. They were tough. They knew how to take a bump. Girls that they didn't know how to take a bump, Stu Hart would call douchebags because they flop around in the ring like a great douchebag. So that's how they came about being a douchebag. It's the same thing with the girls today. There's a small amount of the girls that can actually work, and then there's a lot of them that just going to go in to be seen and wear pretty stuff, and they have no ring psychology. Tessa, on the other hand, has pushed herself. Not only is she legacy, she also has to work harder than anybody else because her name is Blanchard. And so to cut that girl short actually doesn't know what they're talking about. And to call Tessa Blanchard a racist, you do not know what the meaning of racist is. You're just heard somebody else say because you absolutely do not have a clue.
Well,
Go ahead, Jeff.
Have you seen that your daughter, Samantha Starr, as she is known in the business, have you seen that she has had to deal with anything negatively, even on the independents, because of whose daughter she is?
I don't think it's because of whose daughter she is, but because I don't think like Sam or myself had the star worthiness like Magnum and Tully did. I think just in the business is because so many out there that don't know how to act, that are negative force in the business. My daughter just holds herself up to a higher standard than everybody else.
I know that the couple times that we brought her into VCW, your daughter has she has a very good work ethic in the back. She's a very pleasure to be around, pleasure in the locker room, and no attitude, no problem. So.
And how you expect other people to treat you. That's how you.
Now, I'm gonna real quick. I'm gonna go back to something you said. You went to Kansas City. What led to you going to Kansas City?
I just got married to Sam.
Okay.
Married July of '86. They had put me with Flair August of '86.
Yep.
And they were sending Sam to Kansas City because they wanted a satellite promotion where they could send the guys and them. That way they could get a good payoff. Still work once a month, bring in a big name, kind of boost things up. It was just so poorly run. When you go to the show and there's posters in the concession, it should have been out of the line, out putting in buildings or on hold. There's like 6 legal cars in the concession for a quarter a piece. Someone just didn't do their job.
Yeah. Wow. Nickla, my question is a simple question. Is it difficult to be married to somebody in the business? Did you find it hard on the marriage, or were there other things that contributed?
Sam and I we had a really, really good time because we both were making really good money. I had my really good spot. Sam was trying to earn his spot. We went to the gym every day. We had good money. We got to travel. The whole thing, with Kansas City, was I asked Esther to send me to Kansas City because I wanted to be with Sam. I totally loved him and loved being around him. And whenever he went to work for WWF, I went to work for Piedmont Airlines, so I could get the fly and go see him, which worked out really cool because every 2 weeks, wherever they were at for TV, I could just spend 2 or 3 days with them and fly out there.
Right.
I'm sorry.
No, don't.
Go ahead, Jeff. You're fine. You're fine.
Did you ever get contacted when Sam was there in the WWF? Did Vince ever contact you about or mention about trying to bring you in?
No, because they had Elizabeth and they had like the Glamour Girls. They brought in Robin. I did do a tryout one time. I didn't know it was a tryout. I had been working out at Nelson Royal, Doc and Robin and myself. They spent the whole summer up there with training in the warehouse in the barn and making bumps and learning stuff. And I was talking to Sam at the time. And he was like, "Go get your girl. And Lonnie wants to work out with you. She has heard that you've been working out at Nelson's." So I was like, "Okay, so yeah, I'll go work out with Lonnie and with Patty." And we got in there and took some bumps and just kind of partner around. I had no idea that WWE was actually like looking at me for trials. It would have been nice if someone had told me, but they didn't. So
That would have been nice if they had. Yeah.
It was cool because Robin got her shot, and she did really, really well and had to run with Jerry. And there for a while, when you look at it, like Grizz worked, Jake worked, Sam was working, I was working, Robin, feel like the whole family.
Yeah.
It was a really cool situation. It was good.
Yeah. Nickla, what led to the downfall? What led to the downfall of Jim Crockett?
To me, it was marketing. They just WWE took off with like the wrestling rings and the new action figures, and just went a whole totally different direction. Whenever they came out with the wrestling rings, we all kind of laughed like, ha ha, they're not going to sell. And then they sold like 1 billion. I'm like, oh, yeah, we have that thing. So
Yeah.
it was the marketing. They started out with the WrestleManias, and they brought in like the movie stars and the recording.
Yeah.
Everything that Crockett still kept everything kind of closed off instead of making it super glamorous and financially.
Was Dusty Rhodes was Dusty ahead of his time, or was he a mad genius?
Or both.
Or both, yeah.
Just he worked so many territories and had seen so much stuff work, and he had in his mind these characters that he wanted to work with and to bring out and to bring to life. And thank goodness he just saw something in me that just inspired him. And
Yeah.
to work with like with BABYDOLL and Dusty Rhodes had their own little scenario going on. BABYDOLL and Dick Cornette had their own little scenario going on.
Right.
Tessa Blanchard had their thing. You know, it was BABYDOLL and Magnum had their, you know, it was just BABYDOLL had her own little character going with everything.
Yeah.
Work. And he
And well-
did that. Stuff like with Jimmy Knight and Rock and Roll Express. Everybody had like 4 or 5 stories going on.
Yeah. Well, you know, we were, Jeff and I were both given an insight on this. We were told that Dusty used to see everything as kind of a movie. He had this movie, big picture feel. And he liked to present his wrestling with that sort of like, you know, big flavor feel. Was the Crockett territory ready for that? That's why I asked you, was he ahead of his time?
Absolutely. There for a long while, he had 3 teams going. So like there was like A team, B team, C team. And yeah, the A team was cool because you had Flair on there, but then you also were paying Flair the 40% whatever he was making off the house. And then it was oftentimes you did on the B and C team, didn't have all that money going out for Flair. Like if you did B team like with Magnum and then Tully, you made a whole lot more money than if you went as hard with Dusty and Flair.
Go ahead, Jeff.
I got to. You had another infamous angle that a lot of us younger fans that grew up and started watching there in '86 because it was so hot. We remember it. You and Jim Cornette, and he hit you with the racket and brought me to tears in a bad way because I was ready to go hurt some Jim Cornette now. They told me on TV that BABYDOLL was never going to be able to have kids ever again, ever in her life. She was never going to be able to have babies. And my little 9-year-old self, I was convinced of it. So when you came to the Norfolk Scope, I was ready to watch you give Jim Cornette, his comeuppance. Now, question is, how bad did you really blast him? Because he says you potatoed the hell out of him. I think it was just a love shot. What do you say?
Look at what I did. I think there's no question that I upped him pretty good. I did. What I had to do and just be right, and everything was so close. And you have to understand that I enjoy the business just as much as anybody. I get really excited. I don't know how to work, and it shows, but it looks good.
It popped me. Have you caught it on the network? If you have the WWE network, they got from one of the bashes. They actually have the whole Bash '86. One of your 6-man matches are up there. Yeah.
I seen the shot where I hit him in the back of the head in Raleigh.
Yeah, I saw that shot just recently made the Twitter rounds. Now, I got to ask you one other infamous angle that you've been asked about through the years, and I know you have, but I'm going to ask you anyway. What was in that envelope?
Okay. I had asked Dusty this a long time ago. I was getting out like what's in the envelope. And so Dusty said, never tell them. Otherwise, if you tell them, they'll quit asking. He said, if you never tell them, they'll always keep asking. So I can't tell.
Oh, no. She's kayfabing even today.
Oh, I love it. Thank you for it. Thank you so much for actually keeping that.
Well, I want to tell people that if you're enjoying BABYDOLL tonight, if you are truly enjoying the show, I want to tell everybody that this woman is one hell of a tough negotiator, because getting her on the show tonight cost me a criminal background investigation. I had to be interrogated and waterboarded. I had to promise to buy her a franchise of Pizza Hut and Outback Steakhouse for the East Coast. No, actually, it cost me dinner.
I will say this too. Now, I got to ask you, do you watch the current day product?
Yes, I try to as much as I can. My daughter and son-in-law just did a couple of shows with WWE, like the Raw show and SmackDown. They were in Greensboro and Charlotte, I think. I can't remember. We did a couple of shows with them. So the WWE is in this area. I watch. I also watch. Really with Don, I've got a 5-year-old grandson, and he's really getting into wrestling now. And he's always going, WWE, WWE. So we watch wrestling as much as we can.
What do you make of the new product, AEW?
I've watched a little bit of it. I like it that they've got Arn and Tully on there. I'm watching because of them.
I'll say this: you made a comment on Fight TV or on the panel with at StarCast, and I could totally see you doing the gimmick of being the older woman dating the younger guy, and you with MJF. That would be money.
Big money.
Huge.
I don't think I should do the manage my daughter and do the freaking project.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's something to consider, Jeff.
What's that? I didn't hear it. So
managing her daughter.
I would love to see that too. The mother.
I would love to see anything to get you back in into the fold.
I think that, honest to God, this isn't me just putting you over, but I think any promotion would be wise to bring you in. You have a wealth of knowledge that goes back from your childhood days of being with your parents through the years of with Dusty on up, and whether it was AEW, WWE, NXT, or even a newer promotion like you got MLW that's on YouTube or BN that network, or even the new NWA. Any of them you could fit in at.
Well, now Jeff, let me interject something.
Yeah,
Nickla, what do you think of the new NWA? They have a very
that's where I was going.
Yeah, they have a very authentic feel to the old studio.
Right. I watched just a little bit of it. I watched more of the AEW. I need to catch up on the NWA power. I have not. I have to admit, I'm not as up to date on that as I should.
Okay. Gotcha.
Well, they had on there. They had C.W. Anderson. They got Caleb Conley, who I know you're familiar with a couple of them. So, and they're giving a lot of the indie talent a look that a lot of the promotions aren't necessarily willing to look at right now for whatever reason. So
yeah, and CW has been on the show, and in fact, you mentioned Nickla, you mentioned George South. We're going to have him on the show.
We're trying.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to hear George, because as you said, George doesn't hold back.
Right.
I
guess I just totally got this guy, but I was going to say that Rosetta Diaz is
Well, I gotta ask you this, if you don't mind. Actually, I'm gonna go back really quick. You were dating Sam. You said, how hard was that when you were turned heel and with Flair, and you're dating Sam Houston, and to not be seen? You know what I mean, like by the fans.
Right. Well, whenever Sam and I first started going out, I was a heel with Tully.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for several months they didn't know about it. You have to be a little clever about it. The worst thing is that the boys don't want to be fooled, and you have to fool them, so then they get mad at you. But that's another thing. But it's like with anything else. One of you goes and checks in, and the other one calls and goes up to the room, and nobody knows. So
yeah. Nickla, I want to.
Then you get to the building.
I was going to say, I don't want to keep you too long. I know that you're under the weather, and God bless you for being with us tonight. But I would love I want to extend, and I want to do it right now on the air. I want to extend an invitation to you to come back and have a part 2 with us. And I would be honored if we could have you and your daughter on.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I would love to do that.
Right. She just moved right up to the next town. She's in Lenore, so that's a possibility.
And if I have to buy you dinner for you and her, I'll do it.
All
and
right.
if I have to buy you your own Pizza Hut franchise, I'll come up with the money.
I actually took my husband, my daughter, and my son-in-law out to dinner with before, so that'll be cool. That'll be really good.
Beautiful. I will take care of you, kiddo.
Thank you.
Listen, I'm going to let you go now. You can sign off. I want to thank you, the one and only Baby Doll, every man's perfect 10.
Thank
Nickla,
you so much.
Thank you for joining us. You are the best. I appreciate you.
You bet. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Here, Nickla. Bye-bye.
And oh, she's still there.
I'm not.
You're not there.
Yeah, she's still there.
Yeah.
I'm still here. Hold on.
No, it's okay.
You would think if I shut it off, that would be it, and it's.
There it is. She's gone.
All right, Jeff. Just you and me, babe.
Well, I had no clue that she got dinner out of it. I didn't know that we were offering up dinner to our guests. I mean, if that's the case, then I could start throwing that around. Heck, I mean.
Wait a minute. Al Forno.
Not too many people come up to Suffolk, Virginia, but an Olive Garden's always doable. What's that?
Yeah, Olive Garden, right?
Yeah.
Well, listen, that was really an amazing conversation.
It really was. I unfortunately, her volume wasn't coming through all the time like I wish it had. But
too, and I should tell people, she does have a really bad head cold, and she came on here, and she was sick.
Yes.
So, and I do ask everyone's indulgence for that, and look, just to be able to have her for the act that we did.
Yeah, she was amazing. I first of all, thank you. I'm glad that you were able to get that. I didn't, what I mean.
Your childhood dreams come true.
It kind of was. I mean, able to actually, just get the questions that I ask her and able to ask her. I've heard her answer some of them myself. But you always got new people out there, and like I said, honestly, it does say a lot about her as a character.
Yes.
The BABYDOLL character is still remembered 40 years later. You have people that are newbies in the business at only 20 something years old who will go back and remember her from back in their day, from watching the videos of her. And what's even crazier is when you think about it, she only had about a 3-year run, maybe 4.
Yeah, I know.
So a lot of people that have the shortest runs leave the most lasting memory with a lot of people. I mean, Magnum TA.
Oh, absolutely.
That was one I was wanting to ask her about, was when Magnum had his accident, was she there, and how did she see the effect of the business? You know what I mean?
And you know what, Jeff? And that's why I invited her back for a part 2. We barely scratched the surface, really.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to have, her daughter coming on would be awesome, because her daughter she is in that unique position of being as she said about her daughter, unfortunately, her daughter does not have the last name of a Blanchard or a Flair behind her.
Right.
And, truth be told, unless she is to tell you my mom is BABYDOLL and my dad is Sam Houston, you would have no clue. Because she just did not get that internet buzz that the other ones did when they came into the business. And that's no fault of Samantha's. That's really not. And it's no fault of BABYDOLL, no fault of Sam's. I mean, to me personally, I would have taken it and ran with it and been like, my aunt was Rockin' Robin, my uncle's Jake the Snake, my granddaddy was Grizzly Smith.
Right.
And to her credit, though, she didn't. She's doing it all kind of on her own.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But BABYDOLL, she is a tremendous wealth of knowledge, and I meant what I said about anyone would be wise to pick her up. Even if they're an indie promotion that is down there in Carolina, maybe trying to get, your wheels under you or, whatever, if you were to bring her in on a monthly basis, using her for one and maybe even helping consult in the back, it would be, she could really help out, I think, anybody, and her husband as well.
Yeah, and think about something, Jeff, and we both know this, it's true. Every time a federation, I don't care if it's WWE or AEW, whomever it is, every time they bring back a star from yesterday, the numbers pop.
Yep.
Could you imagine bringing BABYDOLL back?
If I were AEW, I would bring her in tomorrow.
Yes. If for no other reason than the fact that Arn and Tully are there.
If you're willing to give other legends that rub and that last little run to see or to give them their glamour years one more time, whatever you want to call it. And Cody tends to look out for his dad's friends.
Yeah.
I think Cody would be wise to reach out to her and say, hey, here's an idea for you.
Yeah.
And, you could bring her in I mean, heck, you could bring her in as the older woman dating the younger, or the younger guy's interested in the older woman, and then her daughter could come along and go, "Hold up, mom, why are you stealing my man?" Not even to have them feud, the two of them turn on him for going after the, you know what?
Yeah, I want to let me just share this with you, Jeff. She's texting me now. She said, "Sorry, I tried so hard not to cough."
Oh, I mean, I was going to tell her, get whatever you're drinking and drink your hot toddy. It's okay.
Right, exactly. Yeah, this is what she's worried about, that she coughed. But trust me, the last thing, I have no concern about you coughing. It was a great interview.
You know, that is.
And she said, let me know when you want to do part 2.
Awesome.
Okay, I'm going to show you right there.
That's awesome.
There you go, right there.
Yep, got it.
I'm sorry, everybody at home. You just saw my cell phone.
She's an amazing woman. Well, you know what? Here's the deal.
Awesome performer.
Everybody who follows us, I think you're going to learn one thing about us is we really have we don't have any restrictions on us. We really don't care which way anything goes or how it goes, and we just kind of
it's like you and I always say, Jeff. We call it in the ring.
You know what? And we go with the flow. So if you don't like it, don't watch us. If you don't like what you hear, don't listen to us. But you know what? Go ahead and bang that 5-star like button anyway, because it puts us over.
Well, my friend, we've come to the end of another show.
Yes, sir. I'm hoping, real quick, I'm hoping maybe this Sunday, I may have a predictions video for you to put up, possibly. Okay. I don't know. I'm just letting our listeners know there may be a little something there as a bonus. Okay. Bonus content.
All right. And so tell everybody, what's this Sunday?
This Sunday is the Royal Rumble for WWE. I will be watching it along with everyone who claims that they're not going to watch it. You know you are anyway, so don't even lie. Because it's, I mean, you know, most of us have been watching it since 1988, and we're going to watch it again in 2019.
Absolutely.
And, I mean, we enjoy the surprises. We enjoy the Battle Royal. We enjoy every bit of it.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, I don't care if you are Evan, who doesn't like the current product. He's going to be watching it.
Oh, sure.
Mikey Messier, he's going to be watching it too.
Absolutely, because he needs something to complain about.
The only two I really don't care if they listen or not is Monty and the Pharaoh, and they could just go jump in a lake for all I care.
Well, our two buddies up in New York.
Yeah, I mean, what do they know? What do they know about the Royal Rumble anyway?
Let's be honest, Jeff. What do they know about wrestling?
I mean, come on. I mean, Monty and the Pharaoh. Oh, we're two boys from New York. Oh. I mean, I got a real Jersey boy here. Okay. I got a Giuseppe. Anyway, no, much love to Monty and the Pharaoh. Honestly, much love to you guys.
Yeah, we love you guys. Pharaoh and Mike Monty. You're our friends. You're our buddies. We love you. All in good fun. We love the rib. We love the tease. It's all good.
And I'll plug it really quick.
Vanguard. Let's give our housekeeping plugs.
It was good. Vanguard Championship Wrestling VCW February 1st. We are getting down to the nitty gritty. It's coming up. We're gonna have badass Billy Gunn coming in. AEW's Billy Gunn, Gangrel, who has a very training school down in Florida.
And Gangrel will be with us.
And he and Brandon Scott, they're going to be and Brandon Scott and Ken Dixon, fatal 4-way to decide who faces Gino in March. I'm trying. I'll tell you what, Gino is busier than anything right now. But
just signed MLW.
Yeah, he is. He's working for MLW, and he is part of the heel group with MJF and the Dynasty, as they're calling themselves. So,
yes.
Anyway, so VCW February 1st, Masonic Temple in Norfolk on Granby Street. Meet and greet ahead of time, and then that's going to set up for our show in March at the Hampton High School, where we will be doing fundraiser. And that is, you can find out all your information at Vanguard, Facebook, Vanguard Championship Wrestling, or vcw-wrestling.com. Go ahead, get there, order your tickets. If I'm not mistaken, we may be sold out of ringside or very close to being sold out of our ringside seats right now. So, highly advisable. Go ahead, buy your tickets, buy them now before it's too late. Because that night, on February 1st, we were liable to be sold out. So, get your tickets while you can.
Shout out to our sponsor, Al Forno Pizza, an Italian restaurant, 1535 Holland Road, Suffolk, Virginia, 757-925-2829. And our friend Nunzio, he is the owner, his wife, his family all work there. They'll greet you. They'll treat you. Fresh, homemade Italian food anywhere in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Got to go see Nunzio and family at Al Forno Restaurant and Pizzeria. Again, 757-925-2829. Tell them the psychic and the ref sent you. And Jeff, you'll be there every Friday like clockwork because that's your spot.
Yes, it is.
What's on the menu this week, brother? Tease me. Give me something to water my mouth with.
The homemade stuffed tortellini with cheese and Alfredo sauce and shrimp.
Oh, you're killing me, brother.
Amazing. That dish put me in a food coma the other night when we had Scott Casey. I mean, whew.
Yeah, I know we had to cut the show short.
yeah, I mean, it was wow. But yes, definitely go check out Al Forno's right there in Suffolk, Virginia.
And again, Dog Championship Wrestling, their next show, February 29th in Little Egg Harbor Township, New Jersey. Go to dogprowrestling.com for all the details. And speaking of dog, this week on the podcast, we will have not one but two guests. They form the Old School Empire. It's Big Vinny the Fixer and Patch, the Old School Empire from Dog Championship Wrestling, talking old school tag team wrestling with us.
That's going to be fun.
And I know you're looking forward to meeting the Old School Empire, Jeff.
Yes, sir.
So now, if there's nothing else, I guess there is something else. We just picked up another station.
Yeah.
Podbay FM.
That is
and
good.
iHeartRadio are now on the roster of Wrestling with the Future.
That's awesome.
So you can reach us now, ladies and gentlemen, on Podbay, iHeartRadio, Podbean, iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, Stitcher, Yahoo, Google, YouTube, and don't forget our YouTube channel, Wrestling with the Future. You can catch us on Facebook.com/Wrestling with the Future. Email Jeff the Ref at wrestlingwiththefuture@yahoo.com. He'll answer your questions and comments.
Yep. I was going to tell them where they can find us on Twitter.
Yeah, and at Wrestling Future on Twitter.
Or you can find me up there. I'm at JeffRod41977. I'll be more than happy to give you a follow back and, talk to you if you got any questions for us, any suggestions, upcoming guests that want to come on our show. Feel free to come in, say hi to me on my DMs. I'll be more than happy to talk to you.
I want to announce tonight that we have a special show coming up. I want everybody to mark the date. February 13th. It's a special ref show, Wrestling Refs. Yeah, just pop Jeff the Ref. We're going to have Fred Richards from the NWA.
Awesome.
We'll have Jeff the Ref Robinson, of course.
I got to tie in with Fred Richards, actually. Do you want me to tell the story now or wait to tell it on the air?
No. Wait till Fred comes on the show.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're going to have we're going to call it the Ref Roundtable. So that's February 13th. It's an inside look at wrestling from the referee perspective.
I think that a lot of fans, I mean, seriously, this isn't me just putting referees over because that's what I got started doing, but I think a lot of fans don't realize how much it does take to be a referee, to be seen by the fans and not seen at the same time. And
absolutely, sure.
What all is involved in being a referee, because you're basically playing production and director, and a lot of people don't realize that. So
yeah, exactly.
I'm looking forward to that show. I really, really am. We're gonna have we are gonna be having a lot of fun. Our fans are gonna be enjoying it. I'm enjoying this every time. Every show that we're doing is getting more and more, better. And I think that we're getting more and more listeners. And
big time.
I could not thank our guests that we've had this week already, from Jimmy Valiant, Boogie Woogie Man, Jimmy Valiant, Cowboy Scott Casey, and the perfect.
I'll tell you what, we had a hell of a week this week, brother.
We really have, and we're gonna continue on that train next week and rolling. So,
absolutely. So, this concludes another episode of Wrestling with the Future. On behalf of the Guru, Jeff the Ref Robinson, I'm Psychic Medium Angelo. Happy wrestling, everybody.
Goodbye everyone.